No, we're not doing the frog. I'm gonna show you something very cool. We're not doing the frog. It's not portfolio review. Okay, wait a second. I'm gonna have to do something real quick. Give me 1 second. So I don't have the I don't have the actual title screen just yet. I have one, but I thought it was ready, and I need to change one little thing. One second, guys. Save as. Did you guys see the new stuff about Affinity? It's pretty cool, to be honest. Yeah, well, what do you want to talk about? There we go. One second. Public. There we go. We should now be on YouTube. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a few moments. But it's not a bad software at all, to be honest. There we go. Gabriel and Promolatka says watching from India, brother, from India. There you go. Namaste, my friend. Namaste. Is there another greeting that I can learn in for like my Indian students? So I know Namaste is a very common one, but is there another like common thing that I can say? JPD MMM. Yes, my friend. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit I'm a little bit sick. But assalamu alaikum. Oh man, difficult to pronounce. Assalamu alaikum. We have a Tariq from Brazil. Oh, I knew some Portuguese words, but I don't know them anymore. Do we have anyone from Italy? Ciao. Ciao. Yeah, I'm okay. It's just my voice. My voice is very coarse, but I'm fine. I've been like, remember last week that I was feeling bad. Like I was feeling really bad last weekend. And I couldn't like even focus or anything. Now I'm feeling I'm okay. Like I'm normal energy, but my voice is like fucked up. It was really funny. Let's just go full camera already. What's up, guys? Hello, welcome here to the stream. So it was very funny. I've always been a very sort of like half full kind of guy, right? Like very positive. And my brothers, they sell insurances here in Mexico. They sell insurances, you know, like policy insurances for accidents, for like medical stuff and all kind of those elements. And I hired, or I bought one of these insurances a while ago, like 10 years ago or something, for permanent or semi-permanent like damages to like an accident, like to your body, like if you cannot work anymore, right, like you get like compensated for that. It's, I'm not sure exactly how that word is translated, but or how that works, but it's pretty much that, right? Like if, like let's say, God forbid, you get into an accident and I lose my hands, right, and I can no longer work as a 3D artist, you get compensated. The point is, I've always been like oh yeah, if I lose my hands, that's fine, I'll adapt and I'll freaking strap like a stylus to my nub or whatever. If I lose my leg, so that's fine, I'll just like jump around with my hands or find a way to keep moving, right? But this week that I was with my boys like this and I couldn't record and I couldn't like do my classes and my mentorships properly, I did suffer quite. It's like, oh man, like if I lose my voice, I would be very, very devastated. Not because I like to talk, but I do like to teach. So if I cannot teach verbally, that would be very rough for me. Yeah. That was the most like annoying thing about this week, that I couldn't like work normally because my voice was just like this. Anyway, let's see. We got Sam here, says, can you bring video on retopology on stylized assets in Linux and all? Retopology. Qthar says, hey man, just dropped in to say your videos are great and great help. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your kind words. I'm glad that they're helpful. That's the main goal of them, right? Like I want to make sure that all of the content that we produce is useful to you guys. You get to learn something about the 3D world. Go that one. Tea and honey. Yeah, I've been like taking some medication. I'm pretty sure it's like a viral flu or something like that, because my kid also has it. My wife was feeling a little bit bad the other day. So I don't know who was asking about the retopology part of things, but if you check the Blender 3D AAA weapon for games, we cover retopology for the axe on this one, and this one's like quite stylized. So Sam, I think it was you who asked about this. So this one right here, my friend, it's like a very complete package, even though it's a little bit I don't want to say outdated, but it uses like older versions of the softwares. The techniques and the principles, like the workflow that we're using, it's exactly the same. So if you want to check that one out, again, here we do cover retopology for this axe. You can check the reviews there, and people really like it. So that's one of them. And then there's the other one, this one right here, the complete guide to retopology. This is specifically about retopology. We do this 3 like big projects. We do the I was gonna say the dragon's skull, the dinosaur skull. We do a character, like an animation character, and we do an alien, like a game character with props and things like that. So this one's right here are gonna teach you a little bit more about the proper pipelines for different like optimization like principles. And then finally, if you really want to get into learning about like the full workflow, this is this one right here. So you can see the pirate here, the The Undead Captain, we have a full chapter dedicated to it here. Chapter 4, Retopology, where we retopologize every single part of the character. Hands, fingers, chest, face, like everything. The props, the weapons, like everything. And then this is like really heavy, like theory. There's a lot of information here. There you go. Alex Elminion says, I use Blender 4.4 and got the Axe course and can say there is nothing to worry with version differences. There you go. Yeah, like most of my courses, I always try to make them in such a way that they teach you the fundamentals, the foundations of art and the foundations of the 3D pipelines, so that you can apply them pretty much to everything. Like people have asked me, oh, I don't have 3D code for this course right here, which is very 3D code heavy. Can I do it in Substance? Yeah, totally. Can I do it even in, like, you could potentially even do it in ZBrush with Polypaint, to be honest, because the principles are the exact same ones. We got Sarn here on the chat. There you go. Have you seen the new Maya Quad Retopo tools? You can do some good here, man. New Maya Quad Retopo? Maya Quad Retopo. I mean, you mean the quad? Like, I don't think I've seen any new ones. They released the new Retopo Flow. I have not tried it, to be honest. Retopo Flow 4. There you go. So this is a new, like, complete kit. I have not tried it, to be honest. I'm not sure if they're doing the same thing that they did before, where you can get it for free, because they used to do that for Retopo Flow 3. But all of these things that you see right here, these are already implemented in Topogon. So if you have Topogon, you can also do a lot of these things right here. Yeah, but yeah, this one looks quite nice. But again, you can do retopology even with like the default tools inside of the software set, and you're gonna be fine. So let's open Maya, because today we today we're gonna have some fun. Is there a full course for ZBrush? Yeah, settings. We do have a full course for ZBrush. It's this one right here. So this one, ZBrush for character artists. It does have a focus on character artists, to be honest. But the way I build this course is we start with an introduction. We do a dragon skull, very cool. And then on the chapter 2, we do a little bit of an environment, like a small, like a Japanese-inspired environment. And then we jump into the Oni. And while doing the Oni, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. You're going to learn how to do like cloth. You're going to learn how to do armor bits. You're going to learn how to do, of course, the hair, the horns. So even though the whole project is just this Oni, or most of the project is just this Oni, you learn a lot about the tools. If you're using ZBrush for iPad and you want a more like varied exercise, then it's this one right here. I was really proud about this one, to be honest. I've been seeing some posts on Reddit, like people asking, it's like, oh, are there any courses of ZBrush for iPad? And my name comes up like quite frequently. So I'm very happy that people are liking this course as well. This one is 5 small exercises that we do, or 4 small exercises that we do while learning all of the tools. The only difference is that this is for iPad, right? So it focuses on the interface for the iPad. Burkaging, thank you, my friend. Yeah, this voice thing has been very, very annoying. Let's see. Hey, I have been working about 2 years mostly with clients that are commissioned, so I didn't have time to update my portfolio and can't use any work I've done for them. Did you normally take time off to update yours? The first thing that you can do, George, and I know it sounds very stupid, but just ask the clients if it is possible to include that in your portfolio. Like that's very common. Just reach out to them and do that. I did that for the commercial that I worked for Diablo Immortal a couple of years ago. This one right here. So the work that I did here, I was a contractor and I did some texture work for some of the characters. They were very low poly assets, and my job was to make the textures look as good as they could for the commercial. This was not my commercial. Like, I did not produce this commercial, of course, but I was part of the team that worked on it. So I reached out to them after the commercial aired, after probably like 6 months after the commercial aired, and then I said, hey, like, is it okay if I include some of this information on my portfolio? And they were like, yeah, sure, we're fine. So just reach out, just ask. A lot of people skip that step, and you will be surprised at how far you can get away by just like asking people about what they about what you can do or not. So just ask. Second, it is totally normal, and I know a lot of people do this, to have a private portfolio where all of these pieces that you're saying are included. So all of this stuff that you've done in the past couple of years, if they're good, like if the level of the stuff is really good, then you can totally have a private portfolio, meaning like it's not available publicly. And when you apply to an internship, or you apply to an interview, or you want to show it to someone, sometimes they have like a, they usually do this on a website where they'll have what's the word, sorry, they'll have a specific, like a warning or something that says, by looking at this portfolio, you accept an NDA that you're not going to be distributing this thing, blah 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 blah. You just click accept, you go into the portfolio, and then you can just look at all of this stuff. So I know people do that quite a bit as well. Where is my chat? Here, there you go. Ramon Mendez says, I've learned also from your videos. Thank you so much, bro. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome. Okay, so we got Alan here as well. So, talking about reaching out to people, like this links perfectly to what I'm about to say. Talking about reaching out to people, a couple of months, like a month ago or so, one of you guys, one of our usual viewers here, supporters of the channel, reached out to me. Our good friend Lord Tellum, you probably have seen him here on the chat, both on YouTube or on Twitch. He reached out to me. He's like, hey dude, I want to work on my portfolio. I want to create something cool for my portfolio, and I want to be focusing on rigging. And his name is Brandon Riley. This is his art station. He doesn't have a lot of stuff yet because he's still working on it, but it's going to be here soon. So make sure to give him a follow. Brandon Riley here. He also has I believe other socials. Yeah, like a YouTube channel. There you go. So Lord Tellum in YouTube, and he's got a couple of videos there on some of the stuff that he's been working on. But he reached out to me and he was like, hey, I would like to make something cool. Could we collaborate somehow? And I was like, sure. Actually, I do have a project, a personal project that I would like to get rigged. And he was like, I'll do it. And he went ahead and did this amazing thing right here. May I present to you Ixchel 2.0. So he took one of my personal projects from last year, this hand-painted character that I did, and he rigged it. And he rigged it perfectly. It's a full rig. It has facial rig. It has IK, FK, stretchy limbs, like pretty much everything that you can imagine. It's right here. So I was super happy with the result. He did an amazing job. You can see the results right here. Like we have like expressions for the eyelashes. This is a very low poly model. If you guys have never seen it, because I haven't showed it too much on the stream, I've shown it quite a bit though. But if you haven't seen it, like it's a very low poly model. This was intended to hit the targets that you will normally see in games like League of Legends, right? So we're working with like 14K triangles, I believe, 17K including the weapon and the mask, but I believe she was only like 14K triangles, and he did an amazing job just rigging this whole thing. So we have a lot of very cool things. Look at that, like I love this one right here. We can move the mouth around like that, right? We got, of course, the master controller for the mask. We got the daggers. We got everything. I got a video prepared, and well, it's not prepared yet, but I'm gonna do a video talking about posing next week. It's gonna be on the channel, so make sure to stay tuned about that, because that's one of the things that I normally mention on portfolio reviews, and I want to make sure that you guys have all of the information as well. So yeah, like this is some like advanced level rigging right here. Really cool. And today, since my voice is like really bad, and we have this very cool rig, we're gonna be doing something we don't normally do in the channel, which is animation. We're gonna be doing a nice, small, simple idle animation for this character, and yeah, let's see if I'm not that rusty in that skill. I haven't animated in like 1 year or something. So yeah, we're gonna be animating. Let's see. We have a question here by I am level 25. Says, hello Abe, I want to ask, I'm new to 3D modeling, and I wanted to ask, you should get a Substance or Maya or ZBrush. I'm only doing 3D modeling as a hobby, and I'm worrying of the high price. Get Blender, man. Like if this is just a hobby for you, just get Blender. There's absolutely no need for you to get any of the other softwares yet. Later on, if you see that there's something that if there's something that you're gonna be doing as a side job or something, you might need to get other softwares. But right now, just get Blender. Get Blender, start learning about modeling, start learning about sculpting in there. Later on, from those three that you mentioned, Maya, Substance, and ZBrush, for modeling, I strongly recommend ZBrush because it's really powerful. You got some really cool tools right there. But Blender is such an amazing software. And right now, I believe they just released the version 5.0, and it has like some like cool stuff. It's going to be long-term support, I believe. So yeah, just get Blender. If you want, you can get, of course, the Axe course, and we cover all of the basic information about like box modeling and sculpting that you might need. But yeah, Blender is just like really good for that stuff. Let's see, Serix says, how do you think, what project would be great for portfolio after a chest and an android's head, like a robot human? If you want to do hard surface, guns are good, but don't pick like the common guns. Try to do something like a little bit more intense. So yeah, we're going to be doing animation, guys. So first thing I'm going to do, I am going to save the scene as a different file. Actually, let me show you something very important here. This one's called ixchelrig2.ma. So I'm going to go File, New Scene. And something that you do normally as an animator is you need to reference the project. So I'm going to go here to File, Create Reference, and then I'm going to reference that file right there. What is the difference between a reference and creating the actual, like, or using the actual element? The difference is that if anything changes on the master, like, file, the reference will update with that. So if texture changes, if the rig changes, if the geometry changes, as long as most of the stuff remains the same, I can potentially animate this whole character. And let's say eventually, I don't know, we add like another metal bracer here on her arm. Like, as long as the names of the curves, bones, and everything remain the same, we are going to be able to change. Now, this is interesting. Have you guys encountered this situation where your elements are too dark sometimes or too light? It could be because of this thing right here, which is the color management for the screen. So the traditional one is this one right here, Unity Neutral Tone Mapping, which is going to give you very soft, normal colors. But a lot of people have been going for this ACES one right here. ACES is a specific thing that they use for color grading and color correction and things like this, where they will remap the values of the light colors and the dark colors into different elements so that you get a more cinematic look to the whole thing. It's supposed to be approved by the Academy, you know, Hollywood and all of these movies. I personally feel like it's a little bit too dark sometimes, but it's not bad. Like we can totally use it. In this case, since when I painted this character, I was using or I was not using any sort of like a color correction, I'm gonna use this one on tone mapped sRGB so that we get like the colors that I was working with. Oh, we got a donation here from, oh man, I think, is that a Korean name? I'm pretty sure that's a Korean name. I cannot pronounce it because I cannot read Korean, but no, you're not interrupting. My friend says, hello, I really enjoy watching your YouTube channel. I'm planning to take a 3D environment bootcamp, and I'd like to know what you think about bootcamps. That's a great question. So I've never been in a bootcamp. I've been in classes, I've taken tutorials, I've taken mentorships, but I've never been in a bootcamp specifically. So I'm not entirely sure, but just like look at the results, look at the projects that they're going to be working with, look at who's going to be teaching it, look at their portfolios. If they have some like free resources where you can check their teaching style, because that's also another important thing. Not everyone who has like an amazing portfolio is also a good teacher. Sometimes they don't really know how to explain certain things, and it can be a little bit annoying to pay money and then not learn the stuff that you want to learn, right? So look, do your research. Like the best advice that I can give you if you're thinking about getting into a bootcamp, do your research, and ideally, for instance, this is something that my sculpting teacher told us, right? If you're gonna get into a class, let's say you want to get into a, like I think you're mentioning like an environment bootcamp, right? You want to get there with at least some level of knowledge before you start doing anything, right? Because if you have absolutely no idea about what environments are, they're going to take you from 0 to, let's say, 60% of knowledge, right? But if you are coming into the class with, let's say, a 40% knowledge because you've tried doing like a tileable sheet or like a trim texture like the one that we have here on the channel, or you've done like a little bit of like decals or things like that, well, then your knowledge is already at 40%. And even though they might cover basic stuff that you already know, usually teachers are going to be are good enough to see where you're at, and they're going to push you to another level. So you're going to end up like, I don't know, 80%, 90% of knowledge because you already had a head start, right? I see that quite a bit with my classes. When I start, for instance, the Maya basic class, right? When I start that, and I have people that are coming into the class that already tried Blender, right? Like they tried doing the donut, or they've been playing around with some 3D softwares. It's very easy to help them along the way and to get better results out of them because they already understand basic concepts like faces, edges, bevels, extrudes, things like that. If you're completely new, then of course I'm gonna teach you. Of course I'm gonna show you the tools, but those are things that you could very easily learn for free online, right? With resources here online, here on the channel, and everywhere. So it's gonna allow you to go even further if you have a little bit more information. Okay, let's see. Honestly, it doesn't matter unless you start rendering. Aces only becomes apparent. Yeah, and I mean, like the monitors that I have right here, they're really good monitors. They're good, like calibrated monitors, but I do feel like they're a little bit dark sometimes. Have you ever used Risum UV as a main? Yeah, actually, for this character, when I was doing this character, I used Risum UV for her. Here, I can show you the UVs. Let's see. Do we have the meshes? Geo here. So that's part of the UV. I think we have like multiple UV sets. Yeah, that shouldn't be the case. Actually, I should clean this. But I did use Risum UV for the setup of this character. Anyway, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a basic idle pose for this character. I want her to be sort of like, you know, like just relaxing, and then maybe do a little bit of a movement, and then like maybe interact with a mask or something. So now that we've referenced the file, one thing I need to do is I need to create a set that I'm gonna be using to animate. So I'm gonna jump here to animation. I'm gonna go to select all by type, and then NURBS curves. It's gonna select all of the curves around the character, and I'm gonna do a create. It's called set, quick select set, and I'm gonna call this Ixchel. Ixchel, I think that was the name. X and then shell. There we go. Hit OK. So we have a quick select here. Once it's there, I can go to create, or sorry, to select, and then quick select set, and I can press Control and Shift click to add it to the upper side right here. So usually what I like to do is I go to like frame -10. There you go. Let's go to frame like -10, and on that frame I just select all of the elements and just hit S to create a keyframe. That way everything that I'm going to be creating on that frame is going to be kept as a backup, right? So if I ever need to go back to the basic pose, that I'm going to have that frame saved over there. And now we need to find the first pose. Idle animations are relatively simple, but we can make them really interesting. So this is what I'm going to do. I want to have a little bit of a relaxed pose for her. So one of the most basic things that we can do when posing a character, let me repeat that. One of the best things that we can do when posing a character, or a very sort of like easy to follow process, is this thing right here, which is called the contrapposto. Contrapposto is something that has been used for like literally thousands of years. It's a very sort of like natural looking effect for our characters, where you bring all of the weight of the character to one side of the character, right? Like all of the weight is resting on one leg, and then there is a contraposition, right? Like the hips are going in one direction, the shoulders are going in another direction, and you get a very nice, interesting, again, dynamic effect. So similar to how we use the 3-point light setup as a solution for a lot of the rendering things that we do, the contrapposto position is another one that, especially for posing, is really good. So again, I'm picturing like, hey, what if this is like a character selection screen, right? And we're gonna have something like this, and I want the character to be maybe looking here where the mask is gonna be. So actually, let's move the mask over here. The mask is gonna be right here, and this is actually similar to how the original concept was. And she's gonna be, you know, in this sort of like a contrapposto pose. So one thing that we can do, of course, is we can go to rendering, create a new camera, panels, look through selected. Let's get this right here. Usually cameras are going to be a little bit flatter. By default, the focal length of the camera here inside of Maya is set to 35, which is a little bit low in my opinion. For a character, I personally like using 55. I feel like it makes them look a little bit more interesting. So we're going to go for something like that, like a very sort of like straight pose right there. There we go. One thing we can do is I'm going to do panels, and then I'm going to do this tear off copy. What this will do is I'm going to be able to sort of take out this element. I'm going to have it on my other screen. And on this element right here, okay, here's a little trick. If you have your view right here and you don't want to see the curves, Alt 2. Sorry, not Alt 2. Alt 1. Alt 1 is the shortcut. If you have your character and you want to remove the curves for a nice like screenshot or whatever, Alt 1 is the shortcut to hide the controllers. Alt 2 is the shortcut to hide the geometry. So you can toggle between those and you're going to be able to see like the final result. So I'm going to bring this to the side, and that way I can see how it's going to look. And over here, I can work on my perspective camera normally and just like pose the character. Okay? So actually, let's go to perspective view. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Dams del Drenon, what's up, my friend? Hello, hello. Yeah, exactly, Broken Team. When you're doing photography, 55mm is usually the one to go. If you want to have a even more professional looking one, 90mm looks also very, very nice, but things tend to look a little bit flatter. So Chaitanya says, hey, I hope I'm not disturbing, but I had a question. What's the difference between hand paint and normal textures? Also, do we really need an XP pen for hand painting, or can it be done with a mouse? You need an XP pen as a 3D artist, man. Like or not an XP pen. You need a tablet as a 3D artist, man. There's no way around it. Like I've mentioned it before. Like if you're not using a pen display or a pen tablet for your work, be it ZBrush or texturing or Substance or 3D Coder or whatever, you're just like working at a disadvantage. So get a tablet. That will be that should be your first priority right now, because it's very, very helpful. Now, what's the difference between hand-painted stuff and traditional PBR stuff? Traditionally speaking, in hand-painted stuff, you only have one map, which is the texture map, the color map. And all of the sort of like glossy information, the shiny information, all of the elements, those are baked in the texture. The shadows, so all of the shadows right here, the shadows, the highlights that we have on the top part of the elements, all of that is baked in. So it's painted in, right? The advantage of that is that you only have one single map, therefore the performance is really, really good. However, if you are using the other maps, VR, you get access to things like normal map and roughness and glossiness and things like that. So yeah, Senfi says, I don't know how to use a tablet for 3D work. Oh, it's very easy, man. See this thing right here? It's called a pen. You grab it with this thing right here, and then you just like draw on top of it. I'm sorry, I'm just being annoying. It really doesn't take that much. Like it's not rocket science. It is practice. Like at first, especially the hand-eye coordination, right? Like feeling like you're moving where you want to be moving can be a little bit tricky, but it's all about practice. The more you do it, the better you're gonna get with it. Okay. Oh yeah, normally you're not gonna be able to overlap UVs automatically. Like softwares try to avoid that. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this main thing right here. I'm going to bring her down a little bit. What that's going to do is it's going to apply some weight, some gravity. I do recommend when we're animating to add a very basic plane just to see where things are sort of like falling. And what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to push her legs down a little bit so that I can see a little bit of like pressure happening. I'm going to rotate her a little bit. I'm going to rotate the whole like gizmo here just to make it a little bit easier. So this one's going to go there. Now, this foot right here, I'm going to bring it a little bit back. And this foot right here, I'm going to bring it a little bit forward. There we go. See how by just opening the legs right there a little bit, her stance already looks a little bit more realistic and more relaxed. That's the magic of posing, and that's why it's so important to incorporate it when possible. Then I'm going to grab... Oh my god. Yeah, it's not necessarily a Collider Street level, but it's something that we can use to just to see that the ground plane, right? Like to feel like this thing is actually touching something. So once I have that, I'm gonna grab the whole curve right here, and I'm going to rotate it so that we start getting a little bit of that contrapposto thing. So as you can see, my hip is falling down on this area. And then I'm gonna grab the chest controller right here. Oh, this one, is it this one? Yeah. And I'm gonna rotate it the other way, right? That's the famous contrapposto. If the hips are going in one direction, the shoulders are gonna be going in the other direction. So something like that. The head, of course, we're also gonna move a little bit. We're gonna start tilting her. And I want her head to be sort of like looking down a little bit. The great thing about what Lord Talum did right here with the rig is that we have controller over the full like set of hairs and everything, so we can really adjust. Look at that, even their earrings, we can adjust every single part of the character. Now I can grab, for instance, the eyes and just move them to the side a little bit. Now this is an issue. This is my bad, actually. This is something that I need to fix. Because when I did this character, I was not intending to do the back like posing or anything. But you can see that I just painted the eyes on this direction. And when you rotate the eyes a little bit, you see more shadow than we should. That's relatively, it's a relatively easy fix. I should be able to, like, if we could fix it right now. But I'm just gonna keep it simple for now. I'm gonna make her a little bit, you know. Oh, that's great. Let's do like a little bit of a blink there, not too much, and then just like this, not angry, but this sort of like you know, like a little bit of a like what is going on here. And something that's very important is to try to add a little bit of asymmetry to the whole thing. So, for instance, something like this, and she's looking at the mask like, "What are you doing?" Right? And then let's work on the arms. So, for instance, the arms right now, I feel, are they in an FK or an FK? Oh, they're in an IK. Perfect. So this arm right here, I want to have it probably here on her hips. Like she's just like holding the hips or whatever. Very important that we grab the pole vector, this one right here, and we're gonna move it out, right? Something like that. I don't remember if there was a button. Is there a button that I can? Don't remember if I could change the button there. Let's see. Hello, this is Safuse. Oh, says, hello, I love your content, YouTube and TikTok. You're an inspiration for a beginner in 3D. As a Blender addict, I'm a bit worried about purchasing some of your courses because I see that you use Maya and 3D Code, for example, and I wonder if you can transpose easily, man, easily. Someone just mentioned it a couple of like comments ago, and this is something that I was very, I try to be as transparent and as clear about as possible. All of the information that I share in my courses is like universal information. The only thing that you're going to be struggling with is there might be some like specific tools or specific workflows that are not easily like transferable. Like, for instance, maybe if you are trying to use Blender and you want to use the knife brush inside of ZBrush, you don't have that. But if you can find a way to do that, then it's like very easy to do. So I do recommend it's gonna be fine for you. I asked our friend Lord Tellum to include a grip controller here, and he included very, very nicely. There you go. That's a little bit better. So like resting her hand on the hips. And again, I'm not an animator. Like, I know how to animate. I do animation sometimes here on the job, but I'm not like a full-time animator. An animator should be able to tell you that one of the most important things is our poses. Right, like your initial poses for a character are gonna be like really, really, really important. I don't know. Do we do like a? I think, you know what? Let's see if it works. Let's cross her hands. Oh. I want to do her like crossing her arms. I feel like we should be able to do it. And then she's gonna go into like a more relaxed position. So there you go. That's much better. Where's the pole vector? Here. So let's just you usually want to have the pole vector really close to where the actual pole vector is. For those of you that don't know, the pole vector, this is something that you use in IK systems. So in legs and in arms, the pole vector is the middle point. So an IK system, again, for those of you that are unaware of, is a system where instead of moving the arm like an action figure where you move the shoulder, then the elbow, then the wrist, you instead move first the wrist and then the rest of the element like follows. And it needs something called a pole vector, which is this thing right here, that allows you to point the sort of like the center point of the element to where you want. So yeah, exactly, it's where the elbow or the knee aims at. So depending on where you have that direction, you're gonna have, well, a different result. So something like that. And now we're gonna grab the other hand, and we're gonna, like, normally what I do is I like to just position the hand where I want it to be. So in this case, it's going to be like right there. Right, and look at that. Oh my god, this is so good, man. Like, Lord tell him, dude, like, your rig is so freaking clean. By the way, if there's an animator out there and you guys want to give it a shot, We just need to, we're contacting the artist to see if we can, like ideally, I would love to make this rig available for anyone that wants to work with it. Because as you can see, it's really freaking good, man. And I feel because of the fact that the model is quite low poly, the performance should be good as well. Because that's one thing I don't like about some rigs online. The fact that they're like very good, but they tend to be a little bit heavy. And especially in low-end machines, it tends to be difficult to work with. About your trim sheet series, the second video, could you teach us how to duplicate the mesh in the exact same position of the low poly version in Blender? Duplicate the mesh in the exact same position of the low poly version in Blender? It's just with the grid, isn't it? Like, you should just be using like the grid to... I mean, yeah, sure. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do it today, but we can definitely take a look at it later. There you go. No, dude, here we have Lord Tellum on the Twitch chat. It's working great, man. Like, this thing that I'm doing right here, I've tried doing it in other rigs, and it's very complicated. It's very tricky to do a crossed arm like animation. And look at this. Like, this looks really nice, really good. Right? Like look, guys, look at how relaxed the pose looks. Like, this could literally be an action figure right now, and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that looks fine, right? So this is why posing is so important. So that's pose 1. We're still just working on the first frame of our pose. I do have oh no, I don't have auto keyframe, so I'm gonna turn on auto keyframe. That's important. I'm gonna select all of the curves and just save them, because if anything happens and I lose this progress, I'm gonna I'm gonna just end the stream and go away, because I don't want to redo all of these things. But no, this is working great. Let's bring the curves back here. And that way, whatever movement, like auto keyframe is a very nice feature inside of Maya. What it does is, when you're animating, you usually don't want to be like selecting and animating every single time. So what happens is, whenever you do, or Maya detects that there's a change in animation, the channel box is going to turn pink first, indicating that there's a change in the animation. And once you let go, the channel box is going to change to red. So it's going to like save that keyframe. Some animators like to work with it. Some animators don't like to work with it. It really depends on your process. But it's I think it's a good feature, to be honest. So now, here I'm doing something very interesting. This is a principle of animation. So I really like this pose right here. I feel like it's nice and cool, but I think we can definitely exaggerate a little bit more. And one of the reasons why animation works so nicely as a medium is because we can do things that we would normally not do in the real world. So for instance, here I really want to tilt her head quite heavily to the side. Like, I know no one's ever going to be tilting their head that way when in the real world, right? But in this particular case, we can actually, let's say, afford to do that. We can actually sort of like play with that like that process to get like a nice result. However, it's important that we sort of like compensate for all of these elements. And in this case, for instance, the hair, I'm gonna be moving it a little bit to the side to make sure that it falls down with this new gravity that we have here on the character, right? So when seen from the bottom part or from the back side, this hair should be sort of like following that like a straight line from gravity. There we go. So yeah, I like that pose. I really like that. Let's see here. Maybe rotate this a little bit more. And this is the what's the word? This is the basic steps here on the posing process. The only thing I'm gonna check right now is to make sure that some of the elements are not overlapping too badly. So for instance, here on the skirt, I do feel like the skirt is overlapping a bit too much with the knee pads. So I'm just gonna sort of like push it forward a little bit. Maybe this one rotate a little bit. Again, push it forward a bit. Just so that we don't touch. You can see that it's like collapsing with the leg a little bit there as well. In games, it's fine, by the way. Like, people freak a little bit too much about overlaps sometimes. Overlaps are fine. Like, they're normal. Again, especially in games or characters like this where we have a very low poly like version of the character, but you do want to avoid them if possible. Hanoi Bose says, hello sir, is this rig available for us? Please mention. Not yet. I'm contacting the artist that did the concept art, the original concept art, because I just did this as a portfolio piece. This was not a client work, or this was not, it was just like a part of a class that I took, and this was the portfolio piece that I got. Where is it? ArtStation. Yeah, so I did this last year with the help of an amazing mentor. His name is Chemo Toledo. He's currently working at at Riot. He's got like a lot of knowledge about this whole like hand painted process. So in one of his mentorships, I did this. Like it was one of the like the cool things that that I worked on. And the concept was originally by this one, but this is as cool. Like, do we have any Chinese speaking like viewer right now? Maybe you guys can help me, because I found this concept, and this was the concept that I took. This one right here. It was called Witch or something, or Guardian of the Vestige or whatever. So it's this one right here. But I don't know who the artist is. I'm guessing this is the information, so I need to do a little bit of research to see if I can find the artist. And I just want to ask him or her if it's okay to give this character for free as a rig for people to work on. So no, I don't have videos or content about how I did this, because again, this was just my personal project. But I did like share pretty much the exact same process with this one right here, along with more like information. This is the hand painted course that's on our site, and it follows the same principles, like the same principles that I use for that one. It's this one right here. You can see people are loving the course as well. So if you want that, yeah. Do you have any advice on finding mentors? Just reach out to people. Like, I'm a mentor. I help people out. If you want me to help you, just send me a message on Discord. I have private sessions, but every now and then, like, I jump into the help room and just help people with their stuff. Reach out to people. That's like, I know it sounds so stupid, and I'm gonna go full camera for this. I know it sounds very stupid, but one of the best things that you can do as part of your networking process, as part of your artistic journey, is just reach out to people. Just be like, hey, dude, I love your stuff. I love what you did here. Do you mind me asking a couple of questions? Do you offer mentorships? Is there a way we could collaborate? Like, just simple questions. You have 3 possible outcomes from that question, right? Outcome number 1, they ignore you. They don't ever see the message. You don't get a message back. That's fine. Did your life change? No. Are you now a loser or whatever? No. Option number 2, you get a no. They tell you, oh, thank you, but no, I don't have mentorships, or no, I don't do this, or no, I'm not going to answer your question. Did you lose anything? Again, no, you didn't lose anything. You just now have an answer to your question, and you're going to have to find that answer somewhere else, which is, again, completely fine. And option number 3, you get a yes. Like, the person that answers you is like, yeah, sure, like, let's jump into a call right now on Discord for free. Like, I'll just give you 20 minutes of my time, and I'll answer some of your questions. I'm happy to help. So those are like the only 3 options you can have. So you don't lose anything by just reaching out and being like, hey, dude, I want to do this, or hey, dude, I want to do that. I mean, I'm going to give you another example. When we were looking for the concept for this course right here, where I came across Labros Panosis, who's an amazing artist, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, Labros, I love your concept pieces. Like, is there a way I could use one of them for my courses? And he was like, sure, man. Like, I've seen your stuff. I love what you do. I love your teaching. So go for it. And it's like, oh, awesome. Cool. There we go. Now we are collaborating with Labros, who was an amazing dude. And we were able to create a very cool like character for the whole process. So it's very important that, what's the word? It's very important that you remove that fear of rejection, right? It's usually the fear of rejection that really like limits us to what we do. Exactly, Cheseta. That's a great question. Hey, dude, your work is amazing. Can I use it for a study? Can I use it for my portfolio? And I've gotten some no's. I've gotten some people that say, no, I don't want you to use it for your portfolio. Like, oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you. I'm not going to ask anymore. I'm not going to be insistent or a dick about it. I'm just going to move on and look for another option, right? It's similar to when you're like courting, right, or trying to meet a new person. You reach out to them. It's like, hey, I really like you. I think you're really pretty, or whatever. Would you like to go for a coffee? And more often than not, you might be getting a no in return, but that's fine. Like that's part of life, right? So don't be afraid of rejection, guys. It's totally durable, but you do need to get away from that fear and just reach out to people. Yeah, Casey. I'm quite sick. I'm not gonna deny it. Do you have let's see, will I be able to learn retopology completely by taking your retopology course? Oh, that's a heavy question, man. I think you are gonna learn all of the necessary and important tools for your retopology challenges. So I'm gonna give you the combos, right? Like I'm gonna give you the workflows or the thought process. But unfortunately, I cannot have like a 100-hour course where I teach you the specifics for every single object in the world, right? Like that's why I personally love retopology, because retopology to me it's like what's the word? It's like a puzzle that you solve every single time. So If you take that retopology course, I can assure you that you're going to have all of the necessary knowledge to tackle any retopology challenge, but every retopology challenge might be unique, and there might be a couple of little extra things here and there that you might learn for specific elements, okay? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's it. I think we're here in a good pose. Again, if we press Alt 1, we're gonna remove all of the curves and we can see the character. I can see my my other shot right here. This is my main camera shot. I think the mask is a little bit too far away. Let's rotate this to get a little bit of a better view. There we go, something like that. And I'm gonna get the mask a little bit closer, and like this. And the dagger here, we're also gonna move the dagger. Oh, you know what, Lord Telem, are you still here on the channel? There's one thing that I might need to ask from you, my friend, and I know I've already asked too much with this rig, but there is in the concept art for this piece, the mask has the dagger on his mouth, so it might be good to have an extra little locator like the ones that you showed me for the hands on the mouth of the character, so that it follows as well. Like, hopefully that's not too difficult to incorporate, because the mask is supposed to be, I'm not sure if it's attacking with the dagger or whatever, but it has the dagger on the element. Anupam Sigdel says, your anatomy course will teach me important muscles. Dude, like, the anatomy course is one of my favorite courses that I did. It's a course that I wanted to do for a long time, and I think it's gonna teach you like all of the important information. Murkeojin says, hi, in your portfolio is this character in a pose? Yes, it's in the pose, and I used some auto rigging tools inside of Maya to just get like a super basic rig. I actually show how to do that on the pirate course. I show you how to build like a super basic, just like skeleton, to get like a super simple pose. So yes, I did pose a character on my when I did this right here. Okay, so where's animation here? So let's grab everything S. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to jump into the second frame, just the frame number 1, and what we need to do now is what is going to be the second pose, right? So right now, let me go out. You might not hear me as much. Well, let's just move this here. So right now we're like this, right? So what I imagine this second pose is, or this pose is right now, this is like the relaxed pose. Like after you breathe, right? Normally you breathe and then you relax. So right now this feels like the relaxed pose. I'm gonna go now for the relaxed pose right here, like the pose where she's breathing in and everything's sort of like pushing up before she goes down. Okay, before we get like a different animation. So to do that, when we breathe in, one of the things that's gonna happen is the torso and everything is kind of sort of like gonna push out. So I'm gonna do that right there. I might even raise her up a little bit, just a tiny bit, almost nothing. I'm going to rotate her head a little bit too. Maybe the expression relaxes a little bit as well. So instead of having that expression, like that very intense expression, we go back to a normal expression. So she's gonna, like, when she relaxes, that's when she's gonna like open up the expression a little bit more. Hair is very important, as you can see right here. We cannot let this thing be just like floating around. So we need to like position. Wait, was the hair flowing? Oh, the hair was actually bad on this first frame right here. So I'm gonna move the hair down so that it's resting on her shoulders a little bit better. There we go. And then, for instance, I really like this position. If I want to translate one position, I just middle mouse click to the frame where I want to translate and hit S. And that way, the hair is going to remain there. So see that? It might not look like much, but we're adding a little bit of movement right here, right? Where she's, again, like breathing up. I'm going to grab this controller right here as well. Sliding, you slide line. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit more rotation and maybe push her chest a little bit forward there. Again, it's all about a little bit of this subtleties. Who is this character? This looks like my friend in real life. Really? No, this is a character that I got from this artist right here. It was a personal project that I did last year, as I was mentioning, as part of a mentorship, actually. And her name, I named her Eggshell. She didn't have a name right here, so I just named her Eggshell. And yeah, there you go. Yeah, we need to move the hair here. So we're just gonna rotate the hair back so that it touches the shoulder. There we go. Arms can have a little bit of movement. This is something that, again, most animators will tell you. Like, usually you don't want to keep everything like static. So for instance, maybe when she breathes in, she's gonna sort of like hold her stomach a little bit closer there. Same for this hand right here. Maybe it's gonna slide a little bit to the side and hold her arm a little bit more tightly. Right? Maybe move some of the pivot points here. All of this, remember, we're doing this, all of this in frame number 2. Frame number 2 is where this is happening, because this is our second pose for our character. And the mask, what I want to do with the mask is I want to move the mouth a little bit. Of course, it's going to generate a little bit of movement for the dagger. And probably make the mask maybe like hover up a little bit as well. And there we go. Like that. Her eyes, let's push her eyes up a little bit so that she's following that like movement of the mask, right? So we go from here to here, where she's looking at the mask, like doing the movement, right? So as you can see, it's a very subtle movement. It's a very simple like element that we're doing right here, but it should be more than enough to bring some life to the character. Any questions so far? That's a great question, Mustafa. That's a great question. So Mustafa here is asking about something called interpolation. Let me show you what that is, and I'm gonna show it to you with a different like element. So if we have a sphere, and I set a keyframe in frame 0, and then I set a keyframe in frame 30, and then I go to the middle section and I set a keyframe on frame 15. Right now what I have is position 1, position 2, position 3. By default, Maya is going to create a smooth version of that movement right there. So if I hit play, I'm going to see the animation running and the ball moving from one point to another. This is how you animate in Maya in the most basic principles, right? But if you grab the object and you go to Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor, you're going to see this thing right here. This thing right here is the graph editor, and this tells us how the movement goes in a specific element. You just check the music because we just lost it. Music, man. I love chill hop, but I hate that. Stop the music every now and then. There we go. So if we go here, you're going to see that we can define how this thing goes from point A, B, and C. Right now, this is a very sort of like lazy curve. So one of the things that we can do, for instance, is I can push the curvatures here, push the controls, and get a slightly different effect. Like if you've ever done the bouncing ball animation, you've done this sort of like thing before. But the interesting thing about this is some animators like to grab all of these curves and work with this option called like a linear curve. Or not, it's not that one. Where is it? This one, step curve. So the step curve, as you can see right here, will keep the animation. The step curve, as you can see right here, will keep the animation stable until it changes, and it will just give you a very sort of like blocky look to the animation. So you're gonna just see like the transition from pose to pose. Which one is better? Which one works better? It really depends on the way you like to work. I personally don't like it as much, to be honest, but what I do like doing, and it's what we're doing here with the character, is when I'm doing my initial poses, I just like to work on like one frame at a time, like my poses, and we're gonna work with timing, which is the next sort of like concept inside of animation, in just a second. Okay, so again, to your question, Mustafa, it really depends on what the pipeline requires and what you prefer as an animator. For my animators friends, what they've told me is that working with stepped curves, it's easier to see the blocking of the thing. Is kind of like working with the blocking before you get distracted by all of the smoothness and the automatization that happens with all of the different curves. Noah 3D, thank you. 16 months. Oh my god, that's a lot of time, man. Thanks all for your support. Let's see. Not Big Guy has another question. Can you suggest some beginners organic models to get the hand of ZBrush and adapt to the tools? A skull is the best thing you can do. And actually, again, on the ZBrush course, the first few chapters or the first few videos are free in case you wanna check them out. And we do a dragon skull. Skulls are like the go-to exercise to practice inside of ZBrush. Ave, do you feel more pressure when the concept art is already super polished and readable? I sometimes prefer simpler sketches because they give me more freedom to interpret shapes and materials without worrying about perfectly matching the concept. It depends on the art style. Like for this kind of stuff, I would prefer them to be a little bit more sketchy so that I have room to add, a little bit of my own sort of like thing. But for hyper realistic things, like if I'm doing like a product or something that's gonna need like a super specific render, the more information you can give me, the better. Like if I have like perfect views from all of the angles and all of them match perfectly, like a car, right? Like if you're modeling a car, you want to have like absolutely like complete precision on everything. So there we go. We have pose number 1, pose number 2, and then of course pose number 3 is going to be the same pose as pose number 1, right? Because we want this to be a cycle. We want this thing to be on a Marmoset viewer or on a reel or whatever, and you want to have like something that just like keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. So it never stops. So pose 1 and pose 3 should be the exact same one. So we want 1, 2, and 3. Now we do the timing. What is timing? Does anyone know what timing is? Because timing is a really, really important concept in animation, and it was one of those concepts that took me quite a bit to understand. Lord, tell him thank you for the sub, my friend, and for this amazing rig right here. I'm having so much fun. In order to learn anatomy, should I create a full character? I do believe that doing a full character will teach you more about anatomy than doing individual studies at first. Once you do a full character, then you can start doing studies about just the arm, just the chest, just the legs to better understand the forms, and then you do more full characters. But anatomy is really interesting because anatomy needs you to focus on how things interconnect, right? If you do an arm in isolation and then you do a chest in isolation and you try to bring them together, they're not going to match. But if you do both of them at the same time, then you understand how things are going to be connecting between each other. Is the rig going to be available for us? I'm just going to ask the artist. I need to ask the artist right here. Again, I've mentioned it was before because I think this right here, Hong Kong or something. I don't know what this is, but this is like a I'm not sure if this is a user or if it's a school, but I'm gonna reach out to the artist and ask him or her if we can use it. And he's got some really cool stuff. I didn't see this one's right here. Oh my god. So cool, man. Look at that. Oh, now I want to do another portfolio piece with some of these concepts, man. It's a really nice. Really. Oh, these are very cool as well. Oh, look at that cool guy, right? Like that. That's like the Oni, right? Like it's very reminiscent of the Oni character. Oh, man. So cool concepts. I'll reach out to the others as soon as I get an answer. I'll let you guys know, and if we do get permission, it's gonna be completely for free. Like this is now I talk of course with Lord Tellum here, and he agreed to share it as well because he did all of the rigging stuff, and I did the modeling and texturing. Okay, so timing is how much something takes to happen, right? For it to happen. So if we grab right now all of these elements and we think about how long do we want this character to take from going from here to, and then, right? It can be very fast. That would be a slow or a fast timing, or we could go right? Like both of them are exactly the same type of like actions. It's the exact same pose, initial pose, middle pose, last pose, but the timing is completely different. And here's a very easy way in which you can play with this. I'm gonna give myself a couple more frames. Usually we animate at 30 frames or 24 frames per second. That's like the rule. Even if your game is going to be running at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, you usually do it at a smaller rate. Again, 30 FPS to me is good. Right now, my timeline is set to 24 FPS, but let's change that to 30 FPS. There we go. And the only reason why I want to do that is because I want to make sure that when we bring it into Marmoset, it like flows nicely. Marmoset by default is set to 30 FPS. And 30 FPS is a little bit better because it matches with 60 FPS. It matches with 120 FPS. So it multiplies a little bit better. Because as you can see, this is a very common problem. Oh, you can see it because of the camera, right? Here, let me turn the camera real quick. Here. Okay. So can you see this thing right here? Can you guys tell what's happening? So we have frame 0 and we have the little red bar on frame 0, and then we have frame 1 and the little red bar is like 1/5 along the way, and then we have frame 2 and the little bar is like in the middle of the frame. This is because we changed from 24 to 30 frames and this guys could not find a specific frame to land on. So one of the things that we need to do is again grab all of the curves, grab all of the timeline, right click, and I'm going to use this option that says snap. So what snap will do is it will push the frame to a frame that makes more sense. So as you can see, this was frame 3. I'm just going to move it to frame 2. And we have frame 0, frame 1, frame 2. This is very important. You know, normally you don't want your frames to be landing on a spot where they're not like on the beginning of the frame because it can mess timing like very, very, very badly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press shift and right click to, actually, let me do something, guys. I'm gonna... come on, Maya, help me out here. Maya. I want to move the timeline so that we can all see it. Why is it not letting me move it? Let's try Windows, Animation Editors. No, display, heads up display. And it's the... No, where is it? I'm not sure why I cannot drag it. Normally you can just drag this thing from the little corner. I know what I'm gonna do. Oh, really? Maya, you're killing me, man. I'm trying to move this thing and it's not letting me. Is there an option now that they changed? That's really weird. I mean, we could try changing this to the animation like pipeline. Is that better? No. Do it from the graph editor. Did I lock? Oh, that stupid me. I locked this thing right here. Sorry, I had this little like lock there so that I could move the interface. There we go. So I'm gonna have this right here. There we go. So again, if you take a look at these things right here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press Shift and right click to select all of them, and now I'm gonna stretch them out. I'm gonna stretch them quite a bit. Let's go again to like 100 frames. And here on my time range, I'm gonna change this to 100 as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it so that it's like 2 seconds, roughly 2 seconds, right there. So as you can see now, frame 0 is right here. Frame 1 is at the 1 second mark, and frame 60 is again at this right here. So now we have an animation. Like if we just play this thing, the character is going to look like it's breathing right there, right? But it looks super ugly. It looks super like mechanical, and it's not like really flowing the way we like it to flow, because the action is just like happening one time and happening the other. It's kind of like a pendulum. So it's not really what we want. I do think it's a little bit fast still. Let's save this, of course. Let's call this eggshell animation. There you go. So I still feel like it's a little bit fast. Like no one breathes that fast. That looks like she's like catching her breath or whatever. So I'm probably gonna go to like 4 seconds or even 5 seconds. So I'm gonna grab this guys right here. I'm gonna extend them again. And if when you extend this, you get this like dotted lines, again, just right click and snap so that the animation snaps to the closest like frame. And now we're gonna have this. There we go. That starts looking a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more interesting. I still feel like we can have this be a little bit slower, a little bit more subtle. So I'm going to go all the way to 150 and just give myself a couple more frames. There we go. And let's take a look. There we go. Much better, right? Much better. So what this allows me to do, as you can see, is play with the timing. It allows us to see how things are flowing from one point to another. The secret here is we want to go now to the last frame, which in this case is frame 129, and we want to change our timeline so that we end 1 frame early, so 128, because the frame 129 and our frame 0 are the exact same frame. So if we want this to loop perfectly, we just need to remove that final frame, and as it goes into this position, we're gonna get like a perfect loop. So this right now, this is our cycle, and the next stage in this animation exercise is to start playing a little bit with what is happening here so that we get the exact same result. Okay, now let's focus on the mask first. I want to focus on the mask first because it's going to be a little bit easier, to be honest. So if we take a look at the mask, you remember that right now the movement that we have is right here. So we start here and then we start here, but we're getting a very ugly kind of movement because the mask is just sort of like going up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah, we're gonna be fixing that in just a second, Supakos. So what I want to do here is I want to check what is going on the graph of this like mask right here. So if we go again to Animation Editor's Graph Editor and we check the animation of this guy, let's press F. There we go. We should be able to see view show. Where is it? Don't I normally get like the transforms here? Let me check here. Hey, where is the... Oh my god. No, we should be getting the information of the steps here. Show assets. No, show view. Where is it? Oh man, I haven't done this in a while. Normally we would get like a what's the word? Graph editor. We would get like a list of all of the things that we were moving. I'm trying to find because I need to find the exact value. Right now I'm looking for translation in C to figure out where this. So like isolate it. We missing something? I feel like we're missing a bit here. It's in the view menu. Highlight affected curves. I mean, that's one of them, but where is it? Stack view? No. Simple toolbar. Which one is it? Classic? No. Someone know? I think you need to click and drag it from the left side. No, but it's not on the left side. Oh, there you go. My God. Such a noob. There you go. Yeah, so this is what I want, because I want to isolate this curve right here. And this is what we get, right? Again, this is frame 0, and it's generating a little bit of an issue here. So at this point, I think we can remove frame 0, so that it doesn't affect us. I'm just going to delete frame 0. And again, I'm going to grab translate Y on this one right here. On this one. Let's grab translate Y. There we go. So this is the curve that we have. So again, as you can see, it's a very sort of like obvious pendulum looking curve right here for the mask. So as this thing moves forward, the mask goes up, it stops, and then it goes down. It goes up, it stops, and it goes down. And then that might not be what we want. We might want to have a slightly different again, like behavior for this particular thing. So usually, again, one of the things that we want in the animation is having a little bit of floatiness and also having a little bit of like snappiness, right? So in this particular case, I kind of want the mask to quickly go up, stay up for a little while, and then quickly go down, or sort of like yeah, quickly go down and then stay down a little bit more time. So what I need to do here is I need to play with the tangents right here, with how this thing interpolates from one point to the other. I'm going to start with this one right here. I'm going to make it a weighted tangent. And what I can do is I can scale this. Or I can, let's go tangents, and let's change this to free tangent length. Is it this one? Where is it? Curves, keys, or where's it? Tangents. Now, I don't want to break the tangents. Free tangent length. Unable to change the weight locked states. All the curve animation curves are not weighted. No, I do want to make them weighted though. Lock tangent length, no. Free tangent length, no. Curve. There we go. Weighted tangents. So I'm changing to weighted tangents. Why? Because I want to be able to grab this thing right here. And again, scale this. Or make it a little bit bigger on this side right here. Well, another thing we can just go over here. I'm going to break this tangent. Why are you not helping me, Maya? Tangents. Curves. What are the tangents? Break tangent. Where are you? Break tangents. There we go. It's really weird. It's not behaving the way I normally like to. For some reason, it's not doing what I was used to. Alamito says, hey, if I'm just building my new gaming PC, in terms of render time, should I head for the 970 XT or 5070 Ti? I would definitely go for 57. Well, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not exactly sure how strong they are. Check the last video I did about how to build a PC. Mohammed says, hey, Abe, I'd like to say you're one of the very few people who never hold back when it comes to sharing knowledge, and you have a real talent for explaining things in a smooth and clear way. Keep it up. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. But yeah, if you're going to be doing 3D, I strongly recommend that you'd use NVIDIA. Let me just check real quick. Do we have the sphere here? So I'm not sure if it has something to do. I don't think it has anything to do with the rig, but let me just check this real quick. So normally, I would like smooth these things, grab these elements. Did they change like the... They changed the shortcuts. Am I locked into something? I feel like I clicked something that I shouldn't have clicked. Not entirely sure what though. So normally I would be able to rotate these things around. You are in the scale tool? What scale tool, man? This one? No. I know I'm in the scale tool, but oh, there you go. Okay, that helps. But why can I not scale this? Normally I would be able to scale this. If I want to scale curves, weigh the tangents. They have like something here. Let's reset that tool. That's really weird. I'm not sure why I cannot do what I normally do. I'm gonna have to check that. I don't want to bore you guys with me just like fiddling around. Yeah, I'm pressing W for that. I got that. Tannoy, thank you. So yeah, so what I was gonna do here is the following. I'm gonna go again to Windows, Mesh Editors, Graph Editor. Let's take a look at the translation in V, and what I want to do is I want to sort of like push this thing down. Oh, there you go. That's okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like they changed this. I'm gonna tell you guys, I haven't done it in a while. That's why I was having this issue. Anyway, so this is what I want to do. I want to keep it a little bit more floaty on the top part right there. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more float there as we get to the top part. So we're gonna quickly, right, like here, we're gonna quickly sort of like snap to the top part, and get a nice sort of like floaty effect, and then from that floaty effect, boom, we're gonna go down, and then again, boom, we're gonna go up. So now if we take a look at the animation, because we changed that, we're gonna get a slightly different result. So we should have like this thing going up a little bit quicker. Let's see. So we go. I still want to sort of like keep it low for a little bit longer. Or maybe even, here's another thing that we can do to make this a little bit more interesting. We can add a little bit of this thing going down like this. So what that's going to generate, like when we push things down a little bit like this, for instance, is we're going to have a little bit of a preparation. So he's going to go down a little bit and then up. Okay, so we're going to... we exaggerate that even more? Yeah, there we go. Boom. So that's a very intense exaggeration right now. Let's clean it up a little bit. But I do want to have like a little bit of a preparation. You can do this with another keyframe, by the way. But if you can control it with curves, it tends to be a little bit cleaner. So we go down and then up. And then we float there for a little while. And then we just settle back down. But on that settle back down, again, I sort of like want to create like a little bit of an overshoot. So I don't want to just like calmly go down and go right there. I want to like accelerate this. I'm going to go to like frame, let's say 102. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this down with another keyframe. There we go. So it looks like he sort of like falls down and then goes back to the beginning, right? Does that make sense, what I'm like explaining right now? So what we're doing is we still have the exact same poses, like the exact same high points along the movement of this thing. But he's going to look a little bit more interesting, just a little bit more, again, more intense. And here, of course, we can play around with the position of this thing depending on how much of the effect we want to have. Now here, again, just to give it a little bit more relaxation, it might actually not be a bad idea to add another keyframe right around here. So let's add another keyframe there. And I'm going to use this keyframe to give you a little bit of rest moment here before we dip down into that like preparation, into that little bit of like anticipation. And then we go up and then we go down again very, very fast. So just by doing that little change right there, as you can see, the animation on the movement of the mask should look a little bit more interesting, right? Kind of looks like he's bumping around or moving around. So exactly. That's the idea, Sephiroth, to imagine this as a character selection screen or something. So yeah, like take a look at the mask, like just the mask in isolation. There's a little bit of a bump there that I don't like a little bit of a repetition. Let me just make sure that the first frame and the last frame are the same. It's not bad. I don't hate it. But I think we can definitely add a little bit more complexity to the whole thing. So again, for instance, the mouth now, right? Like this thing right here is looking very pendulum-like. So if we want to start like adding layers of animation to this thing, one of the things that we can do is grab both curves, like this one right here, and the mouth, and go to where my animations are. So for instance, this one, it seems like we added an animation there that we don't need. Oh, wait a second. No, that's fine. Let's just snap it. No, why do we have that animation? Oh, wait, no, it was fine. We do need those animations, but we see how we have like an extra animation there. Let's delete those. I'm not sure where those were coming from. We're just gonna snap this ones, which were the ones that we were actually using. Okay, so if we go to frame 17 in this case, we're gonna add an animation on that on the mouth for on this one for frame 17, and then we're gonna add an animation on frame 18. I'm gonna do something very fun in just a second. So if we now go again to this piece right here, one of the things that I want to do is I want to match the mask. So when we go down, what do we want to do with the mouth? Probably close it a little bit, because he's preparating, or he's doing a little bit of preparation for this jump going forward. And then as we go up right here, maybe we want to open up the mouth a little bit more, right? And as we go down to the next keyframe, which was supposed to be frame 108, on frame 108, he also goes and sort of like closes the mouth a little bit before he opens a bit more and prepares for the next cycle, right? So that, again, allows us to have a little bit of more like life to the whole character, because things are sort of like floating around and doing that. Let's see, Franny, what's up? How are you? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat again. You've been sold on the retopology course. I'm glad. Yeah, I enjoyed making that. It's a very niche topic, to be honest, but it's a very useful one if you're going to be doing this. Yeah, let's save. Okay. So we got this. I don't like that we have like, I feel the change from here to here happens a little bit too fast on the character. Like, we don't have enough time resting on the original one before we sort of like move to the next one. The breathing is fine, but this one, he looks a little bit jumpy, right? And the reason why he looks a little bit jumpy, I think, is because from when we go back to the beginning until we start like the next part, we're not really, what's the word? It's becoming, it's a little bit too fast. So I'm gonna select all of the curves here on the mask only, because again, like I feel she looks fine. So the problem here that we have is as follows: once we go from this like relaxed pose to our easy pose, we immediately start our animation again, and I don't want that. I would like to keep this animation running a little bit longer. So I'm gonna grab this animation, just snap it, and let's give ourselves like 14 frames, and then this one right here, we're just gonna move it like there. So what's gonna happen is the animation is gonna remain still a little bit more, and then we're gonna do the jump again. So now it should look jump, and then we go back, we hold, and then we jump again, right? So that jump I don't mind too much. I find like it looks interesting and snappy. but we definitely need to do something here. I'm gonna show you in just a second. Now the problem here is from frame 0 to frame 14, things looks a little bit too obvious. So here's another trick that I want to show you. Like if I want to hold this animation a little bit more, here's what I can do. I'm gonna delete all of these frames, and what I want to have here is before we do the jump or this like anticipation, I want to keep this like form a little bit more. So I like this frame right here. I'm just gonna hit S, and then I'm gonna move that frame back. So that way the animation remains there a little bit, and then we have the preparation, and then we have the jump. Now here, the jump, boom. If that's where we see the big jump happening, the mouth should be following that as well, right? So in this case for the mouth, let's match that jump for the mouth as well. And then here again, like let's bring the mouth close together real quickly here. So like that, and we get, there we go. Let's take a look at the full cycle. Still not there. Like the timing is a little bit off with the mouth. What do you guys see with the mouth? I want you guys to develop this eye. I want you to be able to pinpoint this kind of elements, because this is another skill that I get asked a lot. It's like, how do you know when something's wrong? You need to train your eye. You need to train your eye to see where the issue is. So what issue do I see right here? The issue that I see is, look at this. The jaw drops first. Look at that. It's already dropping, and the mask has not done any movement yet, right? So that tells me like, hey, this jaw right here, this movement of the jaw where it like pushes down, it's too fast. It's happening too fast. So we need to grab these elements right here and push them a couple of frames so that it matches the animation, right? And even then, still just like maybe one frame off. Now it's too slow, right? This is the fun thing about animation. I like that, like the first element right there, but it takes too long to get to the final point. And the final point here happens like 2 frames before. So I need to move this back so that the mask really like jumps. And I like the fact that the mouth keeps moving, but that initial jump should match. Maybe a couple more frames actually. There you go. Look at that. Bah! And now the jaw sort of like goes back to position, right? So now that little jump right there looks a lot more natural, looks a lot more interesting. You see that? Can you see how all of this are like placed together into generating something that looks a bit more interesting? And now again, I feel like this sort of like idle pose is looking interesting. Maybe the jump is a little bit too intense. Like maybe we can sort of like soften it up. I'm gonna keep it like that, like this for now. Now, let's go for the little ears. This is where we can add a little bit more, they call the secondary animation. So as we go into this, like we go from this pose and we go into the preparation, one of the things that we can do here is this work like, again, like little ears. Let's move them forward. So like if he's, again, like preparing, right, to do something interesting. So we go here, the character sort of like prepares, and then boom, we got the energy sort of like pushing out. So what we can do here is let's push them out and open them up as if he's like ta-da, like expressing something, right? And we get this. We get like the preparation and then ta-da. And then as we keep going back here, let's move them like fast, because again, like this is a very common mistake. We just let Maya do all the job, and you can see that those little ears are like easily and calmly coming back to the element. Now, like once we do this ta-da, we can have another sort of like ta-da moment where this guys go from this position and then quickly, this is why rigging is so important, translate back and rotate back to the original position. So we got this boom, and then boom, they just like sort of like snap back to position, right? And then we can go back to our animation. So we get this, right? Like something that just looks a little bit more interesting. Ta-da! Yeah, you look for like ta-da alert. No. So like maybe that's a little bit too fast. Actually, I kind of like it. Let's take a look again. Yeah. I don't like that though. Like look at that. Look at on the first, like on the early parts of that thing. Like see how they sort of like go out and generate some like weird stuff. I don't like that. I definitely do not like that. And that's a translation issue. So I need again to go look this guys up and be like, okay, what's going on here? I like that frame. I do not like this preparation, like that like movement there looks horrible. So I'm going to change the translation back to 0 so that the preparation only happens here. Right? So again, it's a little bit of something there. To me, they look like little hands. And again, he's doing like this little like animation, right? Now again, here, it looks a little bit too simple. So we can, like this frame right here, I know it's like a waiting frame, but we can just like add, you know, a little bit of something here to offset things. Maybe even like just push it a little bit around. So that, yes, this like movement right there. So, because I don't want it to look too static from frame 0 to frame 10. Like this is something. This is. I'm not saying this is Disney level animation, of course, right? Like no, absolutely no way. But Disney tends to do this quite a bit, where things are always like moving. In games, they tend to do this where characters are always moving and there's something is always happening. The more you go towards realism in terms of animation, the more still times you're gonna have, the more relaxation and the more like pauses you're gonna have on the elements. In the in some movies or in some games, you might be doing a little bit like more exaggerated cartoony vibes. Like take a look at the Cuphead game, right? Cuphead game. In Cuphead, like things are always sort of like dancing around and moving around because it adds to the whole like aesthetic of the thing. So it really depends on what we're doing there. The jaw swings too much to the right, it seems. To the right. No, I like the swing of the jaw, but I do think it also needs to be a little bit faster here. Because, for instance, here, I like the jump, but then there's, like, very slow, like comeback here. I don't like it, so I'm just gonna, like, push this thing here. So it sort of, like, comes back real quick. And then here, again, let's add a little bit of an extra frame before we go back here. There you go. And again, always, when you're going to add an action, for instance, here, I'm opening the mouth. One thing that we can do is from this point right here, let's push it up and sort of like close it a little bit so that this action right here looks a little bit more interesting, right? Like opening the jaw right here. And we can always push this point a little bit closer to the final element so the action feels a little bit snappier. In this case, I feel it feels a little bit too snappy. So I'm gonna play a little bit here. Now see how it, again, like this is another sort of like interpolation thing. Like the problem is we're going from this point to this point. It looks so boring, right? Like just opening the mouth. And we've been playing with this like curvatures or this like sort of like wavy effects. So what we can do here is in the middle frame, like let's frame 76, I'm gonna push this to the side so that when it opens, it sort of like opens like a little bit more interestingly. Let's see how that looks. Nah, doesn't look good. Does not look good at all. So let's delete this and instead let's push this to the side like this. No, it's too fast. It's too fast. We need a little bit more space, more timing. Not too much. And then maybe this one. Again, we exaggerate a little bit to the side to allow Maya to give us this sort of like interesting effect right there. We're gonna have to look at the curves and see what's going on. And then again, I don't like that from here to here, like nothing really is happening. So what we can do is we can add like a little bit of an intermediate frame there to help close the mouth before we go to the final element and we start preparing for the next stage, right? Nah, I don't like it. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes just like some elements are not gonna work and we just gotta sort of like roll with it. So I'm just gonna delete that whole thing. Like that extra little movement that I wanted to add there was a little bit too much. That's much better, right? Look at that. So it looks a little bit more relaxed. And again, the same principles that we do with you know, modeling and design and stuff. Sometimes less is more, right? Like we don't need to have like movement and like crazy things happening or working at every single part of the process. So sometimes like having just like a simple animation is more than enough. Okay. Now someone's asking, how did you learn all this? Have you gotten any courses? Have you learned anything yourself? No, I've gotten courses throughout the years, right? I had animation classes when I was in school 10 years ago. I do my own research. I do my own practices. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but something that's very funny, and this is something that's going to happen to some of you guys when you get into the job. I'm not recommending it all the time, but it's something that can happen. I've been reached by people as like, hey, dude, we need to do or work at this project. It requires animation. Can you do it? And like, sure. Do you have portfolio to show for it? No, but I can do it. It's like, okay, well, there we go. Let's do it. And they trust you. And then once you are in the job, it's like, okay, now I need to learn how to animate, right? You're going to hear a lot of people say this. Again, I don't always recommend this. Don't bite more than you can chew, right? But sometimes just like getting thrown into the mix and like making people or like challenging yourself to do something and having the pressure gets you to develop the skills that you're gonna need. What if you try to make the mouth and two things at the side return to the face at the same time? I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So here again, I think we can exaggerate things a little bit more. So I'm gonna go to this position right here for the mouth. I'm gonna really exaggerate it, so it really like cuts. And then this is the return point. The return point, I am gonna, as someone mentioned, I'm gonna create this. This is very important. This is called offset, and it's when not everything is happening at the same time. So as you can see here, the mouth is out. I'm gonna hold the mouth out for a little bit, and then it's gonna go back first, and then the little ears. Because if all of the actions are happening at the same time, it looks a little bit weird. So yes, they're gonna sort of like punch out at the same time, but then when they come back, they're gonna come back at a slightly different time. And that sort of like assembling thing that is happening, I feel like it's something that sort of like push things into a better direction. Casey Forster says, I lied once too with saying I knew how to use XGen, learned it fast and pull it off. Yeah, that happened to me actually with well, I'm not gonna say I was about to out myself, but it happened with a client that I did photogrammetry for. He asked me, hey, can we send you some scans and you clean them up and then you retexture them properly? And I was like, sure. I've never done photogrammetry before, but I told them, sure, yeah, I can do it. I can totally do it. And they sent me the files, sent me the payment, and I was just like looking for tutorials and courses and whatever on photogrammetry and just like doing it. Again, I don't always recommend doing that, but you usually know whether or not you're gonna be able to like pull it off, right? So yeah, there you go. That's looking nice. Now, of course, we need to fix this thing right here. Yeah, there you go. Lord Tellum is answering. This is not my rig. This rig was done by Lord Tellum. You can check his YouTube channel and his ArtStation as well. And he was the one who did the rig. Took him a couple of weeks. What if the mouth would snap back faster as the head moves down a bit? Yeah, we can like I like the offset of the mouth snapping back, to be honest. Another important thing is to check this thing right here. But one of the things that we can do is, for instance, when we open the mouth, I believe we do have a controller here. Yeah, I want to rotate the character here. So where we do the preparation here, I'm gonna push the mask in. Again, it's all about communication, right? It's all about communicating this like anticipation before the big reveal. So everything sort of like goes in and then boom, out. And in this out, we can also sort of like move the camera or rotate the camera up so that we get this like interesting motion as well, right? And then here we can again like stabilize, and that way we get a little bit more variation on the rotation of the mask. And we lost our music again. Second. There we go. And yeah, someone was saying, now I realize why it takes forever to animate. Yeah, like right now we're only animating literally 5 seconds, and it's 5 seconds of a very simple prop, which is this like mask character right here. Imagine how long it takes to animate like a full like attacking cycle or like a full run cycle or things like that. It's very time consuming. For me, I don't think animation is for me because I'm very impatient. So seeing the same thing over and over and over again, it's very complicated. Right now, I'm enjoying it. You guys are here. That of course helps. But I don't like that like repetitive nature of animation. Sonny GR says, do that, but with animation layers. Yeah, I totally agree. Like the ideal thing would be to use animation layers. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to use them properly, so I'm just gonna do traditional traditional style right now. Let's see. Buen día, maestro Abe. Se te escucha un poco agripado. Espero que estés bien. Aquí andamos, brother, echándole ganas. Sí, andamos un poco agripados, no te lo voy a negar. Is your background one of your works? What background? This background right here? You want this? Yeah, I did that. I did that. So that sign, that was a gift from my wife last year. These things right here, they are foam board. I'll show you the material, not foam board, foamular. It's called foamular. And then we have like this like lamp over here. This lamp over here, we designed this on the stream early this year. We decided this on the stream, and I 3D printed it and painted it. And then we have like, my statue broke. I need to fix that statue. And then yeah, this barrel, that's just a normal barrel. I bought this barrel years ago for my old studio. And then this statue is Duncan from the anatomy course. The dragon hand's not ready yet. I haven't had time to work on it, to be honest. But let me show you the material, because I know people are curious about this. Give me 1 second, guys. So this is the material, for those of you wondering. It's called foamular. It has the Pink Panther. They sell it everywhere. I mean, there has to be other options, right? But in Mexico, they say this one called foamular. I got this on the Home Depot, and there's different thicknesses to that. So this is one of the thinnest ones. I think this is 1 inch thick. For this one, I use 3-inch and 2-inch ones, I think, for like some of the stuff right there. But the cool thing about this is if you use a hot knife or a hot wire, you can very easily cut it. So I was doing all the cut and everything, and it insulates. So it insulates sound and it insulates temperature. So it's also, that's sort of like a nice thing. It's not foam board. Foam board, it's a little bit different. This one's called foamular. Foam board, it's a thin layer, but they use this for crafts and for like terrain making quite a bit. And yeah, as long as you give it a nice coat of paint and a nice like finish on the elements, you're gonna have a good result. Give me 1 second, because I lost the YouTube chat. Are we still on YouTube? You guys still see me? I think you do, right? Yeah, I think we're still live there. What's up, John? Sonny says, by the way, you're amazing, bro. I always look your tutorials and videos. I learn a lot with you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate all of your videos. Is there anything you don't know a lot about right now that you're currently learning on the side spare time? That's a great question. And yes, I'm actually learning a lot about digital painting. It's been my sort of like my my personal project, because I've always said that I suck at drawing and that I suck at painting, like traditionally and digitally. And I was like, well, if you suck at something, the first thing you need to do is start learning about it. So I've been learning how to draw. Well, I already knew how to draw, but I'm learning how to clean my lines and how to render things properly again, like in 2D space. So that's what I've been, like, some of my free time this past couple of months, I've been focusing a little bit on that. Okay, so let's fix the dagger, because I hate the dagger. I'm gonna do we animate the dagger? Or do we just constrain it? I think we just constrain it, to be honest. So I'm gonna break the connections on the dagger. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this curve right here. This curve right here. What was the one that you used on your demo, Lord Tellum? I think you used like was it a constraint or was it a... I mean, let's try a parent constraint. Nope. Driver, driven, constraint, parent constraint. Okay, that sort of helps. And then can we offset this? I think we can offset this right now. No. Let's do the dagger fall when mouth is open. How would you make the dagger fall? Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to traditionally animate this thing. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna have to keyframe this thing. Dagger fall. Okay, so let's start frame 1. Let's go here. So This thing moves. That movement is fine. Maybe we can move it just a little bit up. There we go. And then when it opens the mouth, like here, it's crunch, 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 crunch. That's the last frame of the crunch. So let's keep it close here. And then the dagger, like the mouth opens. I don't think there will be enough time for the dagger to fall heavily, to be honest. Like if you think about gravity, right? And we let it fall, like the first couple of frames, it's not gonna go anywhere. But then yes, I would agree that here it would start sort of like falling down a little bit. Maybe a little bit faster there. And then boom, there you go. Oh, I love that. Look at that. I didn't even do anything there, and Maya already catch the dagger there. And we just need to play a little bit with the timing there to make sure that that it looks like it goes up again. To change this thing right there. And then I always like to add just a little bit of movement so that it doesn't feel like it's like completely stuck. Again, here we gotta be careful just to make sure it follows the mouth of the character as close as possible. Like, right, because right now it looks like it's sliding, right? And we don't want that. Yeah, like here it looks like it's sliding, and I definitely do not like that. Let's just push it down. And have it sit a little bit lower there. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, that looks okay. I still feel like here it's falling a little bit too slowly. So this is where curves or the graph editor can really help. Let's go to the graph editor, and this is translation Y. There you go. So as you can see right now, or no, actually this is translation X because it's local translation. So at this point, the translation in X is right here, and as we push this down, the translation in X is here. So if I move this, oh no, it's actually, it was translation in Y. Yeah, so there's the fall, right? So what we can do here is this little fall right here. I'm gonna break the tangent. I'm gonna make it floaty here. It's also way the tangents. There we go. I'm gonna make it floaty here. And then here, I'm also gonna break it. This is like animation 101. This is like bouncing ball stuff, where you had this like floaty fall, and then boom, very accelerated, and then boom, it sort of like bounces back. So now you're gonna see that it falls down, and it bounces back, right? So it falls down and it bounces back. The only problem here is it's bouncing a little bit too early. So this bounce right here, we need to push it where here. That's where it needs to bounce back. So we're going to boom. Yeah, there we go. So the bounce is right there, and the fall needs to be a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So open the mouth. When we open the mouth, see that? It opens the mouth and sort of like catches it with the whole stuff. So all of these elements, these are working with it's just the curves. It's just the curves doing the job to make the effect look as nice as possible. Let's hit it again. Oh no, I feel like it falls too slow. Don't you guys think? Yeah, it's falling too slow. It's definitely falling too slow. So let's check where that issue is. So here's where the mouth opens, and here's the fall. Something like that. Maybe make it fall a little bit further down. Again, to exaggerate the The hell is that song? Let me change that. How do I change that song? I don't like when songs have lyrics, because it's very difficult. Second, guys. There you go. There we go. Yeah, I need to use elevator music, right? Okay, so let's take a look here. I still feel like it's too floaty. It's too freaking floaty. I like the snap. The snap back, that like the bringing it up, it's fine. But that fall right there feels too slow. Why? Feels slow because the distance here is too much. So maybe like that floaty, like that initial floaty is fine, but we just need to exaggerate that a little bit more. Okay, that's a little bit better. We can justify it with a little bit of magic, right? Like, yeah, it's sort of like holding it with magic. But I still don't love it, to be honest. It doesn't feel as snappy as the rest of the animation. Again, I like how it brings it back, like that initial. I mean, here we could potentially break. We could potentially break some of the rules. Because as we've mentioned before, rules are, as Jinx says, right? Like, rules are meant to be broken. So what we can do here is instead of having this much space, like, just make it fall real quick. It's that frame. That frame is fine. Like, again, this return is great. But it's this part right here that I don't like. So when he opens the mouth, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to this frame and just copy it and very quickly get there. That's better. Just one more frame. There we go. So very quickly gets there, and then it sort of like just brings it back. It's pretty much like if he was holding it the whole time. Now the only thing we need to do is just make sure that the animation graph there looks interesting. Yeah, you can see it starts looking a little bit too wobbly here. So let's keep it straight right there. And here, let's also break this, and let's give it the sort of like gravity effect. Oh. There we go. So now it's gonna be fa, and just brings it back. Is that better? Yeah, that's a little bit better. I like that more. Feels a little bit more natural. Yeah, that's what I was like thinking about, like having the lower jaw sort of like hold the dagger, right? Now remember, we always need to think about what we're seeing on the selection screen. So this is this will be the animation here. Maybe more like this. There we go. Yeah. Not bad, not bad. Now, let's go to her. Oh, this is a tricky one. Because you can see the curves start getting a little bit like intense here. So, what do we do with her? So with her, one of the things that we want to do is we want to have a little bit of offset. Meaning not everything is happening at the exact same time. So for instance here, the chest and the... Well, I'm going to show you another technique, like animation technique. So I'm going to grab all of the curves. Let's give ourselves like a lot more room here. Let's do like 500 frames. I'm going to just like open this up. And I'm going to grab all of the elements right here. We need to check what our initial element was. So if you remember, it's 129. I'm going to grab all of the things right here. Copy. No, not copy. Yeah, copy. And then I'm going to go to frame 129, right click, and then hit paste, paste. What this will do is it will paste all of the elements once more. And I'm going to do here and do paste again. Paste. So right now, what I'm doing pretty much is I'm doing like 3 cycles, right? 3 cycles of the whole thing. So again, we need to remember that our initial frame rate or our initial sort of like cycle was 129 frames. Now, if I go to the character and for instance, I want to create a little bit of offset, usually, for instance, the head and some of the elements, they can be happening a little bit later. So I'm going to grab, for instance, this chest right here and the head, and I'm going to grab all of the frames right here, and I'm going to move them 2 frames to the side. And I'm going to grab the neck. I'm going to grab this thing, and I'm also going to push it 2 frames to the side. And what that should do is things are no longer going to be happening at the exact same time. They're going to be happening at offset times. So there's a little bit of an issue here. And the first issue that I'm noticing, I'm going to have to go back here, is that it seems like I did not animate all of the curves for her. So let's grab all of the curves first. And let's make sure we have animation on all of the frames. I go there. S. There. S. There we go. So now we again grab all of the frames. Copy, paste, and paste. There we go. Something is happening here. I don't like that. What is happening? Can you see that? Like the character is switching stances. That shouldn't be happening. Let's go back. Go back and quickly troubleshoot what the hell is going on here. Chubi says, I just got in stream, but shout out to my friend Lord Tellum who rigged this. You really looks awesome. Yeah, Lord Tellum did a freaking amazing job here, man. Freaking, like, this is top level. This is production, like, level rigging by far. I did. It was not an arachnid, but it had 4 legs. It was a little animation. You probably saw it. I unfortunately used it back in next to it, and now it's like there's I sort of like gave it to the channel before, but yeah, I had the little arachnid thing. Abe, do you think of making an animation courses? No. I don't think I would do an animation course, but I do want to get like maybe some other instructor that has a good like a level to create an animation. Like maybe like it would be cool if we had like a class where I show you like modeling, texturing, like preparation, maybe rigging, and then he animates it, right? And he shows you the animation process, or that would be cool. So I'm just gonna make sure. Let's go back to a few frames here. Interesting. I'm not sure why it broke. I'm just gonna set the animations there, set the animations there, and then set the animations there again. Like that should be a cycle. Anyway, so if we go here to frame 64, someone mentioned that the character was getting some like popping on the knees, and yeah, you're right. So I think one of the reasons is she went too far up. So let's bring her back down, so that we don't get any popping. There you go. That's much better right there. Okay. So actually we can just let me do another thing here. I'm gonna grab this whole thing, like all of the animation curves for eggshell, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another selection set. So I'm gonna say create set, quick selection set. Let's call it main body. hit OK. And now we can go create, or sorry, select, quick select sets, and we're gonna have the main body here. Now I can select from all of the curves and only the main body curves. And let's just do the loop on the main body curves for now. So again, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Grab all of my frames, copy, go here, and then say paste. Then go over here, paste. There we go. So now, yeah, there we go. Our character, as you can see, is breathing, right? Now, as I mentioned, what we can do here is, I know that all of these curves have some sort of like animation. I believe this one has, yeah, there we go, a little bit of animation here. So what I can do is I can literally grab all of the animation frames for the cage right there, and maybe for the neck, like all of those ones right there. I'm gonna move them 2 frames forward. So what that's gonna cause, it's gonna cause a little bit of an offset where not every single part of the action is happening at the same time. I can do the same thing for the neck. I'm going to grab the neck. I'm going to give it 1 more frame on offset, right? I'm offsetting this whole cycle, this full cycle. So what happens here, as you can see, is now the breathing is going to start looking a little bit more natural, because again, not everything is moving or animating at the exact same time. Like, we're going to have a little bit of variation across the idle cycle, right? So see how her breathing starts to look a lot more natural? That's what we're trying to achieve here. Like, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, let's save real quick. This is also gonna be sort of like transferred to the rest of the elements. And this is not something that you always need to do, but I'm gonna try it real quick. Sometimes when you go to the graph editor, you grab all of the curves. You can set them to auto spline. Oh, this one's right here. And it's going to soften up the animation quite a bit. It's one way to, again, to sort of like find an interesting position. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is that we definitely need a little bit more like extra animation, especially here on the arm. So we have the grip modifier. And what we can do is we can go, let's say, on the first frame, when the character is like normal, it's fine. But as we go to the second frame right here, let's animate the grip, right? So we're going to animate the grip. And this exact same animation needs to be here. And it needs to be here. That's very important, right? So otherwise the cycle is not going to look right. So as you can see, that the fingers are going to be gripping the arm a little bit right there. And this is a very easy way to add just like a little bit of variation to this very obvious cycle, right? Like if we just like move a couple of things around here and we just repeat that animation on the other elements, what we're gonna have is we're gonna have a little bit more naturality to that whole thing. Is it SDK? What says SDK? No, but I deleted on this girl as well, I think. I'm pretty sure I deleted the... So for instance, the arms, right, or the hands. I feel like we can also move the hands or offset the hands a little bit. So I'm going to grab all of the elements here on the hands, and I'm also going to give them 2 or 3 frames of offset. So what's that going to cause is now hands, chest, body, everything, they're all moving in different at different rates, right? Like they're not moving at the exact same like position, and it should help us make it look a little bit more natural. It's not going to be perfect, not yet, but it should make it a little bit more natural. Now let's very quickly do the cycle for the mask as well. I'm just going to grab everything here, copy, go right there, paste, go right there, paste. There we go. So now we just have 3 cycles, and this is the fun thing. We can go to any point on the 3 cycles and just grab a chunk of 129 frames, and that's it. Yeah, I think Lord Tellum is going to be able to answer that question. I believe it might be a set-driven key for the curling of the fingers. Look. Now let's a little bit of like, again, like secondary animation. So for instance, all of these things right here, we can add just a little bit of animation, right? So I'm going to grab those 2 guys right there. This is very important. First frame is fine. Let's go to second frame. And actually, we're going to have to go in between the frames. And first we're gonna rotate them to one side. So this one's gonna rotate to this side. This one's gonna rotate to this side a little bit. Right, so it's gonna rotate to one side, go back, and then sort of like, I don't want to say like compensate or anything, but it's gonna rotate to the other side. The other side. And there we go. So now again, what we need to do is we're just grabbing these two elements right here, being very careful not to contaminate anything else. I'm just gonna copy this thing and just paste it again, and then go here and paste it again, so that the cycle repeats, right? As you can see, those little guys are gonna be just like moving around. Let's fix this guys right here. Yeah, so this one, I just want to move them a little bit, so the moment this thing goes up right there, let's push this up a little bit so that we don't have too much overlap, right? Indicating that they're also, again, like moving. And that same frame needs to be here, and it needs to be here. So that way they're gonna be moving along with the movement of the curl, right? Of eggshell. And you can see how those little movements just give everything so much life, right? Like they're so simple, but at the same time they help bring the character to life very, very nicely. So even though we're not doing anything like super complicated, just having a little bit of life to the whole thing really helps. Now I'm gonna show you, and this is the last part we're gonna do before my voice just completely gives up. I'm gonna show you a very cool thing that Lord Tellum animated or rigged here that we're gonna be using to get a super cool animation. So it's the jar right here. So on the jar, and this, I did not ask him to do this. He figured this out, which is pretty cool. I have an object going into the leg. Which one? Oh yeah, this one, right? A little bit. So let's again, let's go here. Okay, so it's this one's on the basic frame actually. So on frame 0, I'm going to just like push this out a little bit. There we go. And that one's gonna be here. Thank you for noticing that. That one's gonna be there, there, and there. There's a little bit of overlap there as well. Can I solve it with this guy right here? There's a little bit of overlap there, but it's fine. It's fine. As I mentioned before, it's in games. It's very common to have this kind of like element. Should I bake textures in separate body parts or combine one? Combine one. Always combine. Like this character has 2 UV sets, one for the full character and one for the jar and the mask and the elements. Does the object not collide? It doesn't collide like normally. Like unless you have physics involved, like you need to actually move them around. So no, it won't collide by itself. The skirt, I definitely want to give it a little bit of something to the skirt. So again, I'm going to go to frame 1. And just make it, give it a little bit more gesture, pretty much. Something basic, like we don't have wind or anything. Like it will be a little bit too complicated. But anyway, this is what I wanted to show you. So I'm going to grab all of this guys right here. And on frame 1, I'm actually going to delete the... what's the word? Can we do it with this one like this? The way I'm thinking. Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine. So I'm gonna delete this guys right here. I'm gonna delete the medium frames. I just want to have the initial frame and the last frame, right? So on the initial frame, what we're gonna do is, oh wait, actually it's not gonna work. I mean, it's gonna work, but it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna look good because I painted light and shadow on the top. I wanted to rotate this whole thing, but here's what I want to show you. Like this is what we can do. Look at that, right? So on frame 0, it's gonna be closed, and then on frame 60, this thing is just gonna sort of like go open right there. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to add a little bit of rotation as well. I think we can do it. So what we can do is we can go here and rotate it a little bit, and then it's gonna go back, right? So as it opens, it's gonna open, rotate a little bit, and then go back and rotate back. right? Again, it's like a very, this one is fine if it looks a little bit mechanical, right? Because it's more of an object, right? Like a hard surface object, like this. Again, this just like jar. So yeah, now let's grab this, guys, copy, and we need to make sure that we paste this into this thing right here. There we go. So now if we take a look at the full animation, there we go. Now here's what we can do. Again, I like the fact that the jar is sort of like breathing at the same time as the character, but I also think that makes it look a little bit too mechanical. So what we can do is we can very easily just grab the whole jar and let's offset this things by quite a bit. So what's going to happen now is the jar is going to be moving on its own sort of like movement, right? And the character is also going to be breathing at a slightly different speed. So when we grab our chunk, which is the next thing that we're going to do for the rendering stuff, when we grab our chunk of animation, the jar and the breathing for her, it's not going to be working at the exact same time, which again might help with the whole thing. I do feel like it's a little bit too offsetted, to be honest. So I do want to offset it a little bit, but not too much. So something like that. There we go. Now let's check if we did everything right and we have an actual cycle. So I'm going to grab any random number, let's say 150. And then I'm going to add, since I suck at math, I'm going to add 150 plus 129 to our frames, and that's 279. So our cycle should finish at 279. There we go. If we take a look at this, what I need to make sure is that frame 150 and frame 100 or 279 are the exact same frame everywhere. And they are. So that's great. So I'm just going to remove one more point here to 278. And technically, if I check the animation, now this should cycle perfectly. The offset might be a little bit weird or wrong, but we should not see any jump or anything. It should be a perfect looping animation right here. And it is. As you can see, we have a perfect looping animation here for the character. Now comes the fun part. We need to export this. We want to use this inside of, like, let's say we want to include this in our portfolio. I might just like include this in my portfolio because even though it's a very simple animation, this is the important thing about your models, and this is a very common mistake that people do. We love modeling, we love texturing, but until you put your model to the test, like until you actually rig it and animate it, you don't know if your model actually works. So this is something that I was talking to with my friend here, Lortelum, is like, hey, did you have any issues with the animation, with the topology, with like the rigging process? Like, was there any loops or things that were not looking good? And he was like, no, in general, everything worked fine. The one advice that he gave me was fix the eyes, right? We need to fix the texture on the eyes and to check the he said if I had more geometry or more topology on the character, I could add more expression, right, with blend shapes and stuff like that. But in this particular case, well, we were going for a low poly character, so that was not the objective. So, but yeah, like you need to actually put your element or your character, your creature, whatever, to the test, because otherwise you're not gonna know if it actually works or not. So here's how you export an animation once you have it ready for Maya. I'm going to go to select. Well, actually, do we have deformation joints? How did you do this here? No, it's just normal. Okay. So I'm just going to go edit, or sorry, select all by type joints. Select all the joints. And then I'm going to select all the geometries here, like the geo group. And I'm going to say file, export selection. On the export selection window, I'm just going to do it here on the what's the word? On the freaking desktop for now. I'm gonna call this eggshell idle animation, and here on the animation we need to say we want to export animation, bake animation, and the frames 150 to 278, and just export selection. If we do this, this should be the everything that we need. These wordings are fine. That's very common. Because, and this is the problem with animation, that's why people say, oh, why are you not doing rigging in Blender or something like that? Because where you rig or where you prepare your stuff, that's where you animate. The constraints and the way rigging works inside of Blender is not compatible with Maya. The skinning is, so anything that you animate on one software, you can bring into another for the render, for instance, but you're not going to be able to rework animation because the processes are just like completely different. Seems you're not that rusty for not having animating for a year. Yeah, I mean, it's such a basics. Like, I'm not sure if there's a pro animator watching right now. He's gonna be like, "Who's this stupid dude doing like really bad animation?" But I feel like just to give or get the what's the word, to get the what the hell, to get the information across, it should be fine. Why did that not export properly? So again, select all by type joints, and then select the geometry, file, export selection, idle animation, and export selection. There you go. Now it's actually exporting the information. File, import, and we import the actual idle animation. There we go. So if we go to the animation tab right here and I hit play, as you can see, the animation is going to be playing perfectly fine. Now we just need to set up the what's the word? I just need to set up the materials properly. So let me find where those materials are. Here. Here. I think it's this one's. This is the albedo. There we go. Is that the proper one? I think so. Then this one is... This one is for this one. And this one... Well, actually, that should be for the mask as well. And for the dagger. There you go. Cool. So, it looks like shit. Right? Like the textures look horrible. Why? Because again, these were hand painted textures, and right now this thing is not like properly calibrated to see hand painted textures. Super simple to do. Like if you want to see the actual hand painted textures with no glossiness, just go to roughness, set this to none, reflection, set this to none, change the diffusion to unlit, and change the metalness to none. We do the exact same thing with her. So we change the again diffusion to unlit, reflection to none, roughness to none, and metalness to none. And there we go. Now, why does this not look the same as this? Right? Like, I like the colors here. They look a lot more balanced, and here they look a little bit too intense. Because by default here inside of Marmoset, the camera has the tone mapping set to HGX. So if you want to have the exact same elements you had when you were painting, set this to, was it ACES? No, linear? I think it was linear. Am I missing something else here? Feels like I have a lot of contrast going on. It should pretty much be it. But I'm not sure if I have a lot of contrast here. Yeah, linear is the one that should be working. Maybe it's just a matter of like bringing the contrast down. But yeah, at this point, this is where we can sort of like start playing with our element until it looks the way we want. Still looks a little bit washed out. There we go, that's better. So I'm pushing the shadows down a little bit to get, you know, a little bit more effect. Here we can push the highlights. This is all color mapping, and most engines nowadays, they allow you to do this kind of like modifications. So it's totally fine to be doing this kind of like elements. So yeah, that's it. With that done, we now have a cool character here, just a very simple idle animation, but this idle animation allows us to showcase that the model that we did is actually working. It's actually like a production ready in this case, right? Like, so if we wanted to make a game out of this model, or we wanted to animate it for whatever it is we want, we should have it here. There's a little bit of a jump. Am I seeing a jump or not? No. Okay, it's just the rendering or the camera. Yeah, exactly. Like this can totally go into your portfolio and showcase the actual element. To showcase this in the portfolio, especially with Marmoset Viewer, is very easy. You just go File, and then we go to Export. We're gonna export this as a Marmoset Viewer file. And let me do it on the desktop for now. Let's call this eggshell animation. There we go. You can add, for instance, eggshell animation. Author Avliel, and I can include like a link to my portfolio, right? There we go, right there, and that's pretty much it. Camera, main camera, all of this, and just hit export. And what this will do is it will generate a file, a Marmoset viewer file, right here. And this is what you upload to ArtStation. So on the Marmoset viewer file, as you can see, you can immediately like check the element, see the animation, and people are going to be able to check, in this case, the hand-painted textures, right, to see how they look. I still feel like I need to calibrate the information a little bit better there. They can check your topology, which is something that I always tell you guys for your portfolio, is just make sure that you showcase your topology so that people can really see how it works. You can see, like, for all of the elements that we have right here, only 17,000 triangles, 17 triangles, 17,040 triangles is what we have right here for the four character, and again, it's just a test that this is something that can definitely work. Again, it's tiling there a little bit. I'm not sure why. Why is it tiling? Yeah, like the animation is working fine, but there seems to be some sort of like tiling on the animate feature. It's maybe because this doesn't match the amount of like frames that we have. So I'm just gonna change the frames here, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 128 frames. Oh, let's stop this. So we just want 128 frames. There we go. So this should be our animation right here. And that's what we export. So now if we want to export, this is what we would export to get the proper effect. There's something that I realized or discovered recently. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to notice it right now here on the stream because of the compression and stuff. But if you have a high quality monitor, like 2K or 4K monitor, one of the options that you want to change here is on the viewport settings. Change the resolution from standard to high DPI so that you actually see all of the elements, because this is like if you have it to a standard, it's kind of like rendering at 1080p or sometimes even a little bit lower, so that you don't have too much of a hit on performance. But in this particular case, I do want to see high DPI to be able to see things like very, very sharp here on my viewport. So yeah, that's it, guys. Did you like yeah, this is on lit, George. Right now all of these textures are set to on lit, and as you can see, we get a very nice result. So did you guys like this special animation stream? I know, like, I think this is the first time ever we've done animation on the stream. Is it perfect? No. Did we have fun? I think I had fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. Maybe later we can bring some guests to the stream and have them show us a little bit of like techniques for animation and stuff. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it as well here, my friends. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna stop the stream right now. Just a quick heads up: ZBrush Summit is gonna be going on this weekend, so you definitely want to check that out. They're probably gonna be announcing new stuff, and they're probably gonna be announcing like new features and things like that. There's gonna be a lot of panels with people like showing a lot of very cool techniques. So someone was asking, do I keep myself up to date? That's the kind of like events that you want to watch and review, because it's definitely gonna help you improve your level. Is this 30 FPS animation? Yes, this is a 30 FPS animation, and as you can see, I think like if we go here to the save frame, like this is what I would expect to see again, like on the character selection screen. Like this is what we would be like probably seeing here. Now I see the textures of this guy's like, oh, I definitely need to, like, I don't think those are like the newest textures, by the way. I think I updated the textures. Yeah, these are not the textures. Yeah, definitely not the textures. I'm gonna have to update, because these are not the, like, these are old textures for the mask, but for the character, that those are like the final textures that I have. So yeah, thank you very much, my friends. I'm gonna rest my voice. I'm going to can we change it to 60 with no problem? Yeah, I think we can. Let's try it. So let's do that quick test right here. So what's going to happen if we change this to 60 frames is that the frames are going to sort of like re-interpolate. So you might see a little bit more fluidity, but in like the animation on the character is going to be the same. So what's happening is in this 4.5 seconds, which is the looping of the animation that we have, instead of saying again like 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second, we're seeing it at 60 FPS. So I'm not sure if you're able to tell any difference. It should look a little bit more fluid, but we still animate at 30 FPS. Like we don't change that, because if you try to animate at 60 FPS, it's double the work, it's double the hassle, and you usually just do it at 30 FPS. But yeah, like you can totally, as you can see, you can totally animate that or see this display at 60 FPS. So yeah, that's it, my friends. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. And as you know, if you want to help us here with the with the channel, and you want to help us with the support, best way to do it is of course following Twitch, YouTube, checking our Discord channel, and of course checking the premium courses where we cover not animation but a lot of the things that you need before you get into animation. That's it, my friends. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and don't forget, always learning, always improving. I'll see you back at the next one. Bye bye.